Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to Ala's World of Finance. In this quick video, we're going to talk about the stock market and I'm going to give a quick update on the whole week. So we're going to cover a lot of the stocks that I always look at. I own a lot of these stocks as well. And if you ever want me to include a certain stock, make sure you leave a comment and I will include it in next week's video. And if you ever want me to take one out, you can also mention that as well. And I've also done a lot of videos on most of these stocks individually where I break them down and go into a lot more detail. So I'll leave links to those videos in the description below in case you want to know more about any of these stocks. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Now let's start with AMD. So AMD recently went down a lot when they had their last earnings call, but they still have a lot of potential. They haven't really had a full quarter where they've had the Ryzen products out. And they also have a lot coming up in the GPU market. They have a lot coming up in the server market. So a lot of potential still coming up. For the week, they were up 1.33%. For the month, they're down about 12%. The last 3 months, down about 13%. And year to date, they're up just very slightly at 0.62%. So I do own shares of AMD. I'm currently holding them. I'm hoping that they will go up a little bit. Maybe a little bit towards the end of the year, around there. And if it'll go up a lot, then that's when I'll consider selling. Now, Nintendo, that's where I have most of my money in. That's my biggest stock right now. And it's where I've made the most profit so far as well. So I think right now I'm a little more than $1,000 in profit. And a big reason why is because of the Nintendo Switch. I actually just made a video where I reviewed the Nintendo Switch because that product is really selling Nintendo stock, is really bringing it up. So let's go ahead and look at the numbers. So for the week, up around 5%. For the month, up around 10%. The last 3 months, up around 33%. And year to date, up 31%. So a lot going on with Nintendo. It's doing very well, green across the board. A lot of stuff coming up. We have E3 coming up. And if they announce a Pokemon game for the Switch, then we could see the stock go up massively as well. And really after that is when I'll start considering selling my stock. But first I want to know if Pokemon is coming and things like that. Now, Blackberry, I actually just made a video on Blackberry, and I really like Blackberry. It's one of my newest stocks, and I just started investing in it. And Blackberry, for the week, they're up 11%. For the month, around 14%. Last 3 months, around 38%. And year to date, 50%. So Blackberry is doing very well, and they're really growing in a lot of different markets. So Blackberry is one of the stocks that I really like, and I went into a lot of detail in the other video, and it was a lot of fun. So you should check that one out. Now, Wynn is my favorite casino and hotel resort stock. For the week, they actually went down a little bit. They went down around 2.84%, so around 3% for the week. I actually used to have Wynn stock, and then I sold it because I needed money, because I'm a grad student, so I always need money. So what I do is I invest in a lot of different stocks, but whenever some of them are up, and if I need the money, then I'll sell those, and I'll keep the ones that are down, and I'll wait for those to come back up. But Wynn is one of those where I sold it, and I was waiting for it to have a little bit of a dip, and now it just recently had a dip, like maybe like a couple days ago. It just had a little bit of a dip when we were having that whole Trump thing where the whole impeachment kind of stuff kind of created a sell-off. So there was a little bit of a dip in the stock market, and it was more just of an overreaction. And we saw stocks coming back up a little bit. So I invested in Wynn, and I think it'll start to kind of come up. And there's a lot of things going on with Wynn, a lot of things to look forward to. So I really like that stock. For the month, they're still up 5%. Last 3 months, up around 26%. And year to date, around 40%. So still Wynn doing very well, and I think that they will continue to do very well. Now, Apple, I actually had stock in Apple on both my E-Trade account and my Robinhood account because, like I mentioned in a previous video, I'm switching to Robinhood, so I'm trying to move my stocks over, and I actually needed some money for school for tuition. So I sold my Apple stock from my E-Trade account, and then I bought some on Robinhood, and there was a little bit of a period where I had it on both accounts, but I did end up selling it on E-Trade. Apple is still doing very well. I still have my stocks on Robinhood, and I think that it will still go up because the iPhone 8 is still coming out. So I'm still holding on to my Apple shares. For the week, they're down almost 2%, but for the month, they're up 7%. Last 3 months, around 32%, and year to date, around 60%. So great numbers from Apple. Google is another one that is just kind of one of those monster ones. So for the week, down just 0.05%, but for the month, up around 11%. Last 3 months, 12%, and year to date, 20%. And I had one share of Google because it's very expensive. So I had one share and I actually sold it, and I sold it before it kind of took off not too long ago. It went up a lot, and really before it went up like that 11% right there. And I sold it because I needed the money for school again, and I wish I could have held on to it a little bit longer. I could have made some more profit, but it was only one share, so no big deal. But Amazon is another one. Really, Amazon and Google are those two stocks where if I really just had to put my money somewhere, Amazon and Google are just two great options to just throw money at, because in the long run, I mean, they're two giants. I mean, Google, you think about the search engine, Android, which is kind of taking over, the mobile market in a lot of growing markets and a lot of different areas. And not to mention Google Maps and things like that. So Google is just a beast, and it will continue as the world keeps globalizing. Google is going to be at the forefront of that. So Google is one of those stocks. And then Amazon is just a beast in itself. They operate at a little bit of a lower profit margin, but they really use that to their advantage and just kind of beat the competition in every way imaginable. And that's why they're really taking a lot of companies out of business, especially retail right now. So Amazon is really just the future in that sense. So for the week, Amazon down 0.16%, not very much at all. For the month, up around 6%. Last 3 months, around 13%, and year to date, 28%. So very good numbers from Amazon. GoPro. So I have stock in GoPro, and I've had stock in GoPro for a while now, and I cannot take it anymore. I'm so sick of logging onto my portfolio and seeing red every single time on GoPro, and you can see here red across the board, and they don't really deserve it because they've been doing pretty good actually lately, and in their last earnings they did well, and their stock still continue to drop. So I don't know what's going on, but I think analysts don't really trust GoPro yet, so we'll have to wait and see. If GoPro does well in the next earnings, I think that is when I will start to see profit, and then we can start talking about what to do there. But I will be making a video on GoPro soon, and especially when they have their next earnings call. That will be very important, and I'll be so interested to watch that. It'll be a lot of fun. Now, Nvidia, so they're doing really well across the board. I used to have stock in Nvidia. I think I said Nvidia, and I think Nvidia is like that cream you use. I think this is Nvidia. Okay, so Nvidia, I actually did have stock in Nvidia, so I should know how to pronounce their name. But I had stock in Nvidia, and it was again a situation where I needed the money for school, and I sold it, and they went up. And you can see last month they went up around 30%. Well, right before that was when I sold it, so it kind of sucks for me. But I made a little bit of profit, but I could have made much more. So anyway, for the week, around 6%, month, 33%, last 3 months, 26%, year to date, 27%. So they're really great, green across the board. A lot of things going for Nvidia, and with their partnership with Tesla, they also make the processor for the Nintendo Switch. They have a lot of space in the gaming market, and we've seen great numbers coming out of the gaming market. So Nvidia just doing very well, and they've gone up massively in a very short amount of time. So Nvidia is just one of those stocks that kind of just took off. Are they overpriced? I'm not too sure. If they start to dip, that is when I'll be interested. Right now, I think it's a little too high, to be honest. Tesla, for the week, they're down around 4%, almost 5% down for Tesla. So a little significant there. For the month, up almost 2%. For the last 3 months, up around almost 15%, and then year to date up 45%. So year to date still doing very well. And Tesla is really the future. So I mean, if your stock goes down 5% in 1 week, what do you care? Tesla is practically the future. You could pretty much expect to see cars being self-driving in the future, and Tesla is really ahead of everybody in that sense. Now with Snapchat, I just recently. I had Snapchat, and then I sold it, and then I recently bought it again because it dipped a little bit. So I bought it again when it dipped. And for the week, you can see that it's almost up 5%, and that's really the profit that I've been making on it. So not too bad with Snapchat, and I still like Snapchat, and I like a lot of stuff that they had in their earnings. However, some analysts didn't like it, so it dropped, but I think it'll probably kind of start coming up a little bit. For the month, still down almost 5%. So still not too great. And then we don't have the numbers for the 3 months and year to date, not yet. Now Netflix is down 2% for the week. I like Netflix. I like what they're doing with Marvel and I've heard rumors about them doing stuff with Star Wars in Netflix. So I think there's a lot of potential in Netflix. So I really like Netflix, and I like what they're doing. They're kind of taking risk. I like it. So I wouldn't mind throwing money at Netflix. I actually recently bought some. You can see that they're down around 2%. Well, I bought on that little tiny dip, so I bought a little bit there with my Robinhood account. Now for the month, they are up almost 10%. Last 3 months, up around 10%, year to date around 26%, so still doing very solid all around. Sprouts, green across the board. I just made a video on Sprouts recently that I was buying Sprouts, and I made a good little profit there, and I actually needed the money, so I just sold it. But I'm waiting. I'm hoping that Sprouts will kind of come back down a little bit because they've been going up a lot lately. You can see green across the board. So if they kind of take a dip and they come down a little bit, that's when I'll be looking at Sprouts again. But right now, maybe it's a little bit too high for me. I want them to drop down a little bit, and I needed the money, so I sold it, and I'm gonna wait for them to drop down and then maybe come up a little bit. So green across the board, up almost 1% for the week. Month, up almost 6%. 3 months, 25%. Year to date, 27%. So very solid from Sprouts. And that's just Whole Foods. That's like an organic kind of a fresh produce kind of market. And I think that this country is really, America is really moving towards that. Made in America, organic, those type of things. People are caring more and more about that. So I think that they still have a bright future, to be honest. Disney. I have a lot of stock in Disney, and I'm really disappointed in how their stock is doing. Their stock has been going down a lot. But not huge amounts, but it's been going down, and it's been affecting me because I own a lot of shares. But I still really like Disney. I like a lot of stuff that they had in their last earnings call. The problem was in their last earnings call was what's going on with the TV market and with ESPN, and you're seeing a lot of decline there. But I think that they're adjusting to that, and then I still really like what they're doing with Marvel and with Star Wars. And with Star Wars, you got to figure, guys, this next Star Wars movie, it's going to be the first time that we see Luke Skywalker in a really long time. The movie is called The Last Jedi. You know that there's going to be people that are just going to see like The Last Jedi, and they don't even care about Star Wars, but they'll be like, oh, what happened to the Jedi? And they're going to go watch it. So I think that the next Star Wars movie will do like extremely well. Maybe the best Star Wars performance, but we'll have to wait and see. But I think that their stock will be going up. Closer to the end of the year, I think they'll start doing better. So I'm holding my Disney shares right now. And right now it's not a bad time to buy Disney because they are down. But I bought so much that I'd rather just wait. I'd rather just hold it. I don't really want to buy more at the moment. For the week, down almost 2%. The month, 6%. 3 months, 2%. And year to date, up 3%. So still doing a little bit good year to date, but red on all the other categories. Microsoft is, well, you guys know Microsoft. I don't really like Microsoft that much. They just recently talked about the Surface laptop. They released the Surface laptop, and I'm kind of wondering why they overpriced it. I think it was like very expensive. I think it was like $800 or $1,000. I mean, I don't know. It was kind of expensive, but I just don't really see the point. They have the regular Surface, which here I'll show you guys. Well, I have like a regular Surface, but they have the regular Surface, and then they have the Surface Book. Now they made the Surface laptop to like complete the family, but I mean, who's gonna get a laptop when you can get a regular Surface or a Surface Book, which is way more appealing? And then rumors of a Surface phone, but I mean, they kind of ruined it with the phone already. They should have gone to Android a long time ago. I had a Windows phone, so I felt the pain. But they kind of stuck with their Windows mobile phones, and they didn't really do well. So I don't know. But I know that Microsoft has a lot of other areas where they're obviously gonna make tons of money, but I'm just saying, just some of the things that just like the vibe I get from Microsoft isn't that great. But we'll have to wait and see. But their numbers are not amazing, just kind of regular. For the week, down 1%. For the month, up 0.24%. For the last 3 months, up almost 5%, and then year to date, up 8%. So you can see that they're not doing as great as a lot of these other ones. Starbucks, oh my God, I forgot to put the numbers for Starbucks and Take-Two. Okay, I think I remember it in my head, so I'm sorry about that, guys, but I think I remember it. So Starbucks, I actually had shares of Starbucks. I recently bought them, and then they went up a little bit, and then I sold it because I needed money for school again. But as Starbucks, I like it. The thing about Starbucks is it's great for, like, you know, with all the growing online dating. Well, think about all the online dating. What is the first thing that they do? Hey, you want to go grab a cup of coffee? Well, they're going to go to Starbucks. They can obviously go to other places. Sometimes people, I don't want to say stuck up, but sometimes people are a little more, I guess, stuck up, but they'll say like, oh, you know, I don't want to go to Starbucks, or they're too good for Starbucks. So they'll go to like Coffee Bean or that corner coffee shop, different places that are a little more appealing, which I can understand. I'm not calling them stuck up. I mean, I understand you want something different, and Starbucks maybe isn't the hippest thing right now, but they've had some promotions. They've had some new kind of flavors and fruity looking things, and a couple of things that I like. And I think that there's still a good play on the whole online dating scene, which is going to keep growing in my opinion. Seems like everybody has a Tinder account, but I still like Starbucks overall, and I think that they'll do decent overall. So I'm not sure about their numbers. I think they were doing pretty good though last time I checked, so I'm pretty sure that they're doing well. And Take-Two Interactive, I just made a video on them. So they own like Rockstar Games. That's a gaming company, so they own Rockstar Games, NBA 2K, that series, the Red Dead Redemption series. So they have Red Dead Redemption 2 coming out, which is going to be a really good seller for them. The next NBA 2K18 game, that is going to be on the Nintendo Switch, which is selling unbelievably well. So I think that that will be really good for them and for the Nintendo. And then if they ever announce Grand Theft Auto, which will likely be like years from now, but whenever they announce the next Grand Theft Auto, that thing sells like amazingly. It's like one of the best selling games of all time. And it's a little controversial because it has a lot of violence and things like that. But if you put your feelings aside, that video game sells like crazy. So Take-Two Interactive has been doing very well lately. It's been going up a lot. It just recently started going down a little bit, and I really would like it to go down more before I buy Take-Two. I had some and I sold it when it was high, but now it's kind of dropping, and I'd really like it to drop more because I think it's a little overpriced. But overall, Take-Two is still doing very well. Like year to date, they're probably way up there. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I'm out of breath, so I gotta end it now. If you're new, please subscribe because I do videos on stocks all the time and I break everything down. And if you guys ever need any help or advice, like, you know, just let me know and I'll help you guys out. But anyway, yeah, I will see you guys next time. Have a wonderful, beautiful day. Take care.